Hello and thank you for joining me at RC Truth Media. Today is October 1st, 2018. We have been having severe weather all over the place during these last couple of years, and it seems like a lot of these storms, hurricanes, places that are having damage shouldn't be this organized. It seems like what happened last year all across the East Coast, that is rare as can be, and perfect timing. Things just seem to be a little bit too fishy to me. I think that's a good word for it. Pretty fishy here. Now, what's been going on? Storms, storms, storms. We have had these last hurricanes that has been happening to the North Carolina, South Carolina. What happened last year, Texas, Carolinas, Florida, all up and down the East Coast got affected. And there is pages and pages of this. Now, what am I trying to get to? Yes, we most definitely have a changing world. I do believe we're in a grand solar minimum, which is happens every few hundred years. They're calling this one grand solar minimum eddy, where the sun gets less intense and produces less solar rays. Therefore, the Earth doesn't have the magnetosphere protection that it needs, and also with the weak sun comes cooling. So we get a lot of hurricanes. This stuff's supposed to happen during this time, and the pole shift. I do believe we're near a pole shift as well. Okay, or maybe right in the middle of it. I think the poles are shifting as we speak. But does this have to happen? Do you think that maybe there might be some more to this? First thing I want to show you here comes from weathermodificationhistory.com, and a look at this website here. I'll leave a link below so you can check this out. We'll show you an in-depth history of all that's been going on, everything that has to do with weather, changing the weather, okay? And I find this very interesting because it shows some really, really interesting things. Now, the first one I want to show you, back in 2008, we have Hurricane Modification Plans by Department of Homeland Security, Weather Mitigation Research and Development, Operational Defenses through Weather Control. Okay, let's see some. Now, there's very, very troubling things in here. I'm going to warn you right now. Okay, Lyndon B. Johnson. Does everybody remember him? He was the favorite president for a lot of these Democrats out there. And something that he did was he okayed weather warfare. He signed a bill, it's right here, approving weather warfare in 1962. So we go on that. President Lyndon B. Johnson approves weather warfare in 1962. In his subcommittee's detailed summary statement, Johnson proclaimed that our very future depended on being the ones who first seized ownership of space. Control of space means control of the world, Johnson declared. From space, the masters of infinity would have the power to control the Earth's weather, to cause drought and flood, to change the tides and raise the levels of the sea, to divert the Gulf Stream and change the temperate climates to frigid. Okay, he says in essence, the Soviet Union has appraised control of space as a goal of such consequences that achievement of such control has been made a first aim of national policy. He says right here, it lays the predicate and foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world and ultimately to control the weather. And he who controls the weather will control the world, says Vice President Johnson at Southwest Texas State University. And they were not playing around. He who controls the weather controls the world. That is for sure. Now, you go on and continue checking. There is also that shows the CIA how they had went into Cuba and destroyed their sugar crops, and that was weather warfare. Now, also they know how to steer these hurricanes. Hurricane hacking. The Department of Homeland Security enters the world of weather modification. And did you know that these good old boys, the Department of Homeland Security, are working on steering hurricanes? And some big names in the geoengineering world are getting in on the mix, like Bill Gates. So there's the patent, U.S. patent application. Let's check this out, right? April 2009, United States patent reducing hurricane intensity using upwelling pumps. That's making them smaller. 2008, Department of Homeland Security, their modification workshop, right? What did they do in 2010? A genesis and rapid intensification process. That's starting and quickly intensifying these hurricanes, making them bigger. So now that we know they know how to make them bigger and make them smaller, why didn't they use this technology to make them smaller during these last couple years when we had intense hurricanes all over the United States? Instead, I believe that they used their technology to make them worse. How much did this all cost? Trillions of dollars. Trillions. And so they've had all of this technology for years now to clean up these hurricanes. And why didn't they use it? In 19, I believe 47 it was the Sirius project, where they put dry ice into a hurricane to try and make it go away, to try and make it disappear. And they've been doing this since 1947, and all throughout from then on. You'd think they've perfected it now, but we didn't see one inkling of that during these hurricanes. Instead, they were the most intense hurricanes that we had ever seen and caused the most damage. Well, this article right here from Zero Hedge is talking about what happened. Okay, a lot of people moved to these heavily populated areas because of how cheap interest rates were during this time, and also because the housing was very good and cheap in this areas. And so, and right by the beach, right? All these people move here, and then they get hit with all these storms, and now the federal government comes in to play Superman, and now they owe money to the federal government. Federal government is giving them everything. And what happens when the federal government gives you resources? You lose your rights. Okay? They want you to do things for them. We do something for you, you do something for us. Okay, so it's an exchange service. And I think this may be why they had steered all these hurricanes in here. So basically, creating order from chaos, and I believe that's what they did here. Thanks a lot for coming and checking out the channel. Please like and subscribe. I hope you got something out of this today. My name's Rick, and I will see you again very soon.